Second coffee, first, second, third?
Fourth, I think.
Come on.
Yeah, but usually 4 to 5, but then it's...
Okay. Okay. I've had 2, but I have big ones. I have them this big, not small ones. So we are more or less the same. So afternoon again, one. Okay. To keep us working.
Exactly. Yeah. Helps. Hello, Edlira. Hello, Irena.
Hello, Edlira.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
Very good.
Hello.
How are you?
Thank you.
Edita.
Përshëndetje.
Përshëndetje.
Do you know if there are more people coming from your group?
I guess so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we wait a minute. And...
Are you all still at home? Still the same things going on in Albania, or is it
Same situation, more or less.
same situation, more or less?
Okay.
Okay.
So next week the lockdown will be lifted. Fine.
All right. Okay. Next week. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. How about school?
No school, no kindergartens, yes, and no public transport yet. No big gatherings and stuff, but the rest will be fine. So.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can start already because we only have 15 to 20 minutes. I think we'll start now. So translation will be on the Spanish channel as always. So let me just start sharing the screen. So I think this is the entrepreneurship group. So two things. First, I'd like to ask you a little bit more about the topic you've chosen. I think it's human resources management. It's a very broad topic. Could you tell us your intentions? Like, what would you like to do in a module about human resources management?
Okay, my microphone is open. So we had yesterday we worked also on the objectives. Unë mund të flas shqip se ndoshta po Ermira dje folëm
Okay, she switched into
diskutuam edhe për
yesterday we discussed about the objectives, and since the teachers are the teachers who have a background in this area and they teach human resources. So this is the basics of entrepreneurship mainly, and one of the topics is this one, human resources management.
Okay, so it's more like an overview over human resources management. Okay, so
yes.
So then that's fine. That's fine. Perfect.
It's more like an introductory topic, they're saying.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Very good. Otherwise, it would have been, difficult to have everything within one module. But just as an overview, that's perfect. Could you do you have like learning objectives defined for this topic?
Objektivat ne kemi nxjerrë 3 objektiva kryesore.
There are 3 main
të cilat janë të shpjegojnë kuptimin e menaxhimit të burimeve njerëzore.
Explain the significance and the meaning of human resources management. So what is it? To argue over the importance of human resources management, illustrate through examples what good human resources management can be.
Okay. Could you send those objectives to Mira for translation also?
Okay, sorry.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Great. So that looks like a very, well-defined module topic, I think. So I think it's a good thing to work with. Hey, Gerda. So if you could now walk us through your journey, so we understand a little bit better your students, that would be helpful.
Okay. Do you want me to do it, Irene, or will you?
Băie Gerda.
So we were thinking of having students from Calmet, which is a village 7 kilometers away from the school, and he has to get up and go to take the bus and go to school. He has to be at school at 10 to 8, because the class starts at 8. And then he has classes, several classes during the day, as it usually goes, and then he takes the bus back and goes home and has lunch and rests a bit and does some social networking. And then 4 to I don't see this to 8 to 19 to 7. So he has like a 3-hour slot in which he can focus on his studying, and then he has some networking time, and then goes to bed.
Okay. So this student, yes. So this student doesn't. He's not working at a company, No,
like, he's not.
Just at school.
Yeah, he's only at school, and because he's young, and also because he's from the village, and there are issues with the transportation that it's not easy to find transportation after a certain time, so he has to stick to this schedule.
Okay, so it's normal they just have school in the morning and then they go back home, and work from there. That's like the regular setting.
The regular day of a kid, yeah. The only difference is that he's from the village, and he not necessarily have friends from his class. So if he has to hang out or has to collaborate or do collaborative work, he has to do it online. And of course, in the village, that can be more complicated. Not necessarily he has hardware to access it, and so that is or sometimes electricity is down or the internet is down, so that and also he does not want to use his bandwidth for school purposes. He wants to use it for his fun purposes mostly, so that makes it complicated.
Okay, but it's not. You've drawn a laptop here, but it's not certain that somebody from the village has a laptop. So it's but they have for sure a smartphone, right?
No, it's most definitely is a smartphone. We have Philip. Do you have somebody requesting access? Is there Mira that is requesting access?
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
I thought they're coming in.
Okay.
Which persona did you choose for this journey? You had those 3 levels of motivation students. Did you pick any of them, or is it just in overall?
So this is a normal, so the medium level of motivation. He wants to study, but he's not like super motivated. But it's not the low motivated kid. So he's the one that struggles but still keeps going.
Okay. Good.
Did you manage to invite Ermira in? Oh yeah, we should have her.
Yes, they're all in.
In your opinion, like, where's the best? Is there some part of this journey that's more relevant, for learning for those students than others? I mean, you've already the big one between 4 and 7. They're probably at home, so they can use this time to study. But for example, is it realistic that they study in the bus, or do you think that's not?
That's a bit complicated. We talked about it, and we had discussion whether our kids, and that was why I interjected. I don't know if you remember the last time we were together, I interjected about the motivation of the kid to just go and study while in the bus. They usually talk to each other. There are other kids from the villages who go to the school in the city, so that's the time when they usually hang out. The only thing that might encourage them to study is if it's a short video and the teacher has said, this is something that we will have a quiz about right away when you come to school. So this, with the Aviva process, this welcoming can be prior to the learning, and he can have some interest in just checking out so that he is somewhat prepared. But the videos should be short, and they should be fun and interesting for them to follow.
Okay, but generally, like the transport is not it's not a good situation for studying.
No, it's not.
It's just watching a video.
They prefer to talk to each other, and also the road is not the best, and so and the internet connection is not really good. So yeah, no, they're not very interested. It's very difficult for these kind of kids to find other slots besides the time that they have allocated. I mean, the time at school is very important, of course, and then the time when they study. This kid wants to study somewhat, so he makes an effort, and the time slot that is there is useful. But other kids, in general, we are suffering from a low motivation of kids to do extra work. So we have to really find a way to encourage them to study.
That's also, I think you mentioned last time, game simulations, something that
is good.
That's one of the reasons.
They enjoy, looking on practical stuff. Like our topic is entrepreneurship. So if they can see a little sketch on a relationship between a human resource manager and a person that has to present his reflection on his work, and that can be kind of a dramatized. That's something that they will enjoy watching, and things that are practical. They want to have things that are more practical, more related to the real world, that are connected to their real life, more authentic rather than theoretical concepts. The theoretical concepts have to be shared while in the classroom. That's the optimal time to develop a theoretical concept. While practical skills and connecting and making sure that there is a linkage to the practice, that can be spread throughout the day.
So the practical part of entrepreneurship, what do that's something they do also in class, in labs, or how does this work?
Ermina says yes.
Okay.
Can you quickly let us know how that could look like? What do you do, like, as a practical thing in entrepreneurship for human resources? What could that be?
Ermina?
Flasun, Geta.
So, for example, during the practical activities, there might be cases, so it can be like we study real cases and they channel based on the topics, like they channel it into the entrepreneurship depending on the topic, or we can take some real enterprise and analyze from different points of view of the entrepreneurship, like how to manage human resources and what ideas and recommendations students can come up with to improve the process, for example, of human resources management. And they can present it through assignments in PowerPoint or on flip charts. So it's up to them to decide the method. Oftentimes we can take some kind of videos, recorded situations, and either brainstorm on that situation or do some group work about some questions, guiding questions that we can distribute around, let's say. Or some concrete example. It's something that we apply in the cases of entrepreneurship. We have this work cafe, the method. It's like 4 different groups discussing or completing, writing on some flip chart based on 4 different topics. And each of the groups then moves from one table to the other, sharing their ideas, giving feedback on the same topic. And at the end of that, we come up with conclusions to find out, so what is the perspective of each group? What are the suggestions of each group for a specific topic?
Okay, great. If you think in an e-learning module now for this topic, human resources management, it should do 2 things. I think the first one, and that's really important, that's what Gert also mentioned, it should catch their attention somehow, so they realize, oh, this is something exciting or something that's interesting, I want to know more about. So I'm just trying to think I think a video is a good start, but I'm not sure yet how, like, content-wise, what that video could be. But I think, yeah, that's not for this session here. But I like the topic, so it's a good practice for me also. Yeah, and then I think what's important, you mentioned many methods that you use in the classroom with flip charts and group works, maybe role play. So I think this is very good. I think now the task will be how can you combine those different methods that you already use in classroom with the online part, maybe with the e-learning module. Like how can you combine this? And but yeah, I think, yeah, it's challenging, but I think it's a very interesting topic. It's a topic that Tino and I were both very interested in, so that's why we like to think about this. Yeah. Were you able to sketch the structure already for next Tuesday, or did you start?
Yes, we did.
Papa.
You did?
Papa.
We did.
Oh, okay.
Irena, if you want to share your screen.
Me objektivat, Gerta, po thua?
Po të lutem, po.
Unë ja lexova në fakt objektivat, po e bëj share.
Okay, so they are thinking about the objectives, and she said that she already presented the objectives.
The objectives, yes. But the structure, like how they could structure a module.
So this is a theme, and then under the theme we picked one topic, which is something that is usually covered during one class. This is the introduction to this concept, the importance of management of human resources. So most of the objectives are in the low level of Bloom's taxonomy. There to explain, to argument, and to illustrate. And yeah, this is how we understood the homework to be.
Yes, for today that's perfect. That's perfect. Just until next Tuesday, we asked you to sketch a module with content blocks, and I think
now you want us to work on activity, to fill it up with activity,
Yeah, look, like following this Aviva thing, but that's only for Tuesday. I was just wondering if you had already started working on it. But I think I think it's important that, and you, of course, you'll know all of this. But I think in this module it's you almost need to have video at the beginning.
Yeah, so we started
to capture,
but it's not still in the Aviva format.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we started with the video, and then we discuss about the video, and the video can be shown. They could have received it before, so they might have seen it at home or while they're coming to school. And then the discussion is in order to link what they already know with what is being discussed is brainstorming in a bateria on what is it that they saw and what is the comment. So the idea is if you want to do this in a platform, they will comment, they will reflect, have a reflection on what they saw, and also they are going to comment on two reflections from two other friends in order to create a tree of discussion that is visible to the teacher and to everybody else. And then the teacher will pick up on this information and will build the content, the new knowledge. She will explain the main concepts based on what the kids show that they already know and what they are supposed to learn, that is a new information, and which can be text and also some H5P interactive content that they can practice after the teacher has shared the information, and then a quiz, and as a homework it can be a group work, a study, a case study of a specific company that they have to understand what's the linkage with the human resources.
Okay, great. So I think you have you've almost everything already. So you can continue to work and just sketch out this module, like what it would look like. It would be nice if you can, maybe make a symbol somewhere where you said the students, they're going to comment and also on feedback from other students, that draw a little symbol that we know, okay, there's some sort of interaction. That would be nice if you can visualize all of this. But yeah, it's perfect. It's really good. So I think our time is already up. Sorry, very quick. So if you have questions, there's still this one Padlet open for questions. Don't hesitate to post there. And otherwise, we'll see you next Tuesday for the next workshop.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Afshin.
Morning. Admit everyone.
Hello, everybody. Okay, great. Mira will be on the Spanish channel for translation. So if you need a translation, please switch to the Spanish channel. Thanks everybody for joining in today. We're going to discuss two things. Could you please mute your microphones? I hear some noise. Okay, perfect. Thank you. We're going to discuss two things today. First, we're going to discuss, or it would be nice if you could briefly present us your topic with the learning objectives linked to them. And then if you could go over your learning journeys so that we get an understanding how your students, what a day in a life of your student looks like. So I'll start sharing my screen. Okay, so Mira, could you just help us with the translation? I think it's distribution or something, the topic.
It's distribution and it's like commercial knowledge, something like that. Yes, it's okay. The fourth one.
Okay, could you ask them to present briefly the topic and the learning objectives behind the topic?
They are asking Lori to speak, but Lori cannot hear us, so since she's not reacting.
Okay.
Ja, të gjej objektivat e Lorit, që na I ka nisur të.
They can't decide who's going to and cannot find the objectives, in fact, because they have made some final changes, let's say.
No worries.
Now Lori is unmuted, so.
Albana, më dëgjon?
Tani po dëgjojmë Lori.
Okay, si jeni mirë? Ju përshëndes. Atëherë më dëgjoni hello. Çfarë duhet të bëj? Duhet të them objektivat? Atëherë, tema që grupi jon ka zgjedhur,
the topic that we have chosen as a group is distribution from commercial knowledge, the subject in the 11th class, first level, in economic schools, like studying economics and business. Concerning this topic,
ato që ne mendojmë se duhen realizuar si objektiva, janë të ndara në 3 nivele, në nivelin minimal, mesatar le të themi, dhe në nivelin maksimal.
Like
Përsa I përket nivelit minimal, ne kemi planifikuar
që objektiv
përshkrimi le të themi, pra nxënësi duhet të javë të përshkruaj në mënyrë sa më të qartë konceptin e shpërndarjes. Duke në mënyrë sa më të qartë kemi idenë që ai të përpiqet të qoftë me fjalë të veta, me fjalë të thjeshta, dhe japi sa më shumë ide në lidhje me mënyrën e të përshkruarit apo me përshkrimin e konceptit të shpërndarjes.
What the concept of distribution
Përsa I përket objektivit të nivelit mesatar,
average or medium level,
pikërisht kësaj çështje ne kemi menduar që objektivi I këtij niveli
referring to the same topic, the objective we think should be like they should be able to
koncepteve matematikore në lidhje me
sistemin, but referring to mathematical concepts about the system for as long as the distribution mechanisms are called consumer mechanisms. So they should know what the word system means, and it's like very clear in mathematical concepts, so as depending on the notion they have on the system, to understand why the distribution mechanisms work like a system of variables. So one changes and the other one directly changes. So it's like a chain reaction at the moment. And speaking about the maximum level, let's say the highest level of objectives that we want to achieve, is related to arguing on the significance and importance of distribution for the sales units, referring to the distribution policies like that should be in place so as some vendors can achieve their objectives.
Nuk e di nëse kemi ndonjë gjë tjetër që mund ta kem harruar dhe ta shtojnë koleget e mia.
I don't know if there is something else she's saying. My colleagues can add.
I think for us it's very good. Like this.
There's some
chat
messages. I don't know, Mira, if there's anything that we should pay attention to.
No, they are just at the very beginning, so saying that they couldn't hear me, and now they could hear some TV playing somewhere, and now it's off.
Good.
Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot for your input. That also helps us understand a bit what you are trying to do. Just as an input, if we speak about creating an e-learning module, and you said you're going to address three different levels, the minimum, medium, and the maximum level. I think it's good to restrict yourself for now for one module per level. So let's say as an example, now we're going to create a module for the minimum level and only focus on this. And then once you have this, you're going to create another module for the medium level. but don't, and I think that's important, don't try to mix the different levels within one module. So I think for the project we are together working on, pick one of the levels and then focus on that. That's my suggestion. When it comes to also developing a structure later on, it also helps if you already right now, because you know the topic, you have a lot of knowledge, try also to think in images or video, like how could you facilitate the understanding of the student for this topic. I think distribution, it's a topic that can be very well visualized somehow, either through illustrations, and I'm sure that there must be videos, showing the chain reactions when it comes to distribution. So I think this is such a visual element can be a really good start into a module. Are there any questions?
Oh, come on,
yes, there is. Like normally, levels that were mentioned during the presentation are related to it's a level of achievement of students' achievement, and the concept has got like 3 different levels, so it's not, and the distribution as a concept is divided into 3 kind of stages. So as students,
okay, I see,
can maximally, let's say, learn that. I believe that the first step is A, so B, C. So there are 3 different steps, and I believe that we can include them in this module, so not just the first one.
Okay. So I misunderstood. Yes. Okay, so yeah, I misunderstood. I thought you had like 3 different groups.
Mira, të kërkoj ndjesë sepse unë tani sapo ju dëgjova juve dhe dëgjova direkt ndërhyrjen e vefit dhe nuk arrita të kuptoj se për çfarë po diskutohej fillimisht. Lori. Jo, nuk ju dëgjova dot.
Ja, Lori, një sekondë. Ideja ishte aty që me që them ne thamë 3 nivele objektivat, dhe ai mendoi që moduli të krijojë vetëm me nivelin e parë me objektiv, si të thuash, me objektivin e parë. Nuk e kuptoi që të 3 objektivat janë brenda këtij koncepti.
Aha, e qartë.
Janë 3 hapa brenda këtij moduli, prandaj e sqarova.
Okej. Faleminderit. Ndjes, ë?
So she asked, she couldn't hear us before and she wanted to know what happened. Okay, now we are fine.
Oh, okay. But yeah, in that case, I understood it's not 3 different levels of learning levels for students. It's just one module, and it's different levels of achievement within a module. So that works. Okay. Thanks. So thank you very much for explaining to us a little bit. Now the next part, it would be nice if somebody could walk us through the journey of one of your students.
Ta sqaroj unë.
Vefi.
Atëherë ne kemi marrë tipin e nxënësit nga.
So this is. So we got one of the personas, one living in the dorm.
Okay.
So 6:30 getting up, 7 o'clock breakfast. After breakfast goes to school. It depends, the dorm can be close or far from the school, but let's imagine it's close to the school. Usually school in Albania starts at 8, So they should be there at 7:45 until 1:30 p.m. they are in class. After that, he goes back to the dorm, to the canteen, having lunch at 2, from 2 to 3, and then at 3, they have the study hours, because in the dorm it's an organized, scheduled study hours from 15 to 19. And after the student has dinner, after dinner he has some kind of slot, time slot, free time that can be used like doing a lot of things you can see there, watching TV, playing, reading. It depends on the student. It's their free time, and then getting ready for bed at 10. At least this is the description, the journey of this student, of a typical day, let's say, of a student who lives in the dorm.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So if I understand correctly, the studying between 3 and 7 is supervised. Like there's somebody there supervising, or are they?
Yes, there are people. There are these caretakers of the dorm who supervise. There is a study hall, and all the students have to be there. Yeah.
But there are no teachers there. They work independently. They do their homework and stuff. Okay.
No teachers, just supervised by the caretakers.
Okay. So I think in this case it's very clear the only time slots they could work on a module by themselves would actually be between 3 and 7, right? There's no commute or anything.
Just a quick question. They're not working next to it, like they're only going to school. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They're just going to school.
Okay. And today in the study rooms, there's internet connectivity, or does this depend on the dorm or the place?
It's relative. In some dorms, there might have internet connection, or it can be weak, overloaded network. It's not, but they don't have computer rooms. So if there is no computer room, so it's really difficult for them.
But they have smartphones, I imagine. Okay.
Yes, they do have the smartphones, but not all of them can pay the promotions for the phone, so they can have internet connection on the phone, so they cannot afford it.
Okay. So yes. So the only it's complicated. So if you develop digital media, you don't really know if they can. You don't know if they can actually use it or study it outside of the classroom, because they might not even have a device to study. So that they need something haptic, like a paper or book or something, right?
This is a fact. Let's find a solution to that, he's saying. And this is like the reality. The only opportunity is if they go out of the dorm and go to this internet cyber cafes or something like that. This is the only possibility.
But they can't go back to school to study, to have internet in the afternoon. Schools are closed, or
no, the schools are closed in the afternoon.
Okay. So yeah, so it is. I mean, it is definitely challenging. We have a similar project with in Africa right now. They have similar challenges, and what they tell us there.
A comparison to Africa is making them laugh, on this situation.
No, I mean much worse. They don't have smartphones. and still they want to introduce some sort of digital learning. So we are trying to find ideas on how to help with this, but what they say, like, oh yeah, well, in 5 to 10 years everybody's going to have smartphones. But
we are making attempts in Albania as well.
But I think, yeah, it's just something so if you focus now on an e-learning module, what we have to keep in mind, maybe there are some students who will have difficulty to actually study this online. So you have to keep in mind, like, how can you prevent, or are there complementary methods to help those students? But I think it can be done, be it with some documentation or even printouts that you can give as a teacher, just for those students who don't have access to internet. But I think for this course now, we're going to focus on the digital part, and we'll try to come up with some method that also helps the people who don't have internet access. So for next Tuesday, your task is to sketch out a module trying to follow roughly this model we've introduced. Do you think
Aviva.
Exactly, Aviva. So you think you have everything to do this?
Do përpiqemi.
We'll try, they're saying.
Okay. And you don't have to think too much like the details of the content, but just if you have an idea, for example, here we know there can be an illustrations, just mark it and say some illustrations that you already, if you have ideas when it comes to media, that you already put those ideas within those blocks. So if there are no more questions right now, our time is already up. It's very short. If there are no more questions, we'll see you next Tuesday. Otherwise, there's always a Padlet where you can post your questions, and we'll try to follow up with those questions next Tuesday. Okay, so thank you very much, and have a good weekend. We'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye. Hello.
Hello.
So let's. Do you know if there are more people coming to the session, or?
We were supposed to come, all of us. Everyone agreed, but it's only Regina here with us.
Yeah, no problem. Otherwise, when they join later on, they just can we just let them in, kind of. So we'd like to ask you to switch to the Spanish channel, so that we can hear the translation afterwards from Mira. First of all, I'm gonna quickly share the screen to check what you have done so far. So we're in general courses. I guess up there is the topic. It would be great if you could walk us through a little bit your topic, explain the topic a little bit, like in a kind of be specific what it is exactly in the general knowledge theme, and then maybe explain the learning goals, the learning objectives that goes with them that you thought about.
Dëgjohem. Po. Mirë, atëherë
we are together with Selman. Can you hear me now? Yeah?
Yes.
So this is a smaller group. In fact, I teach chemistry, biology, and Selman is teaching history and geography, and we decided to come up with some topic which is in between, let's say, these profiles, and this is about types of minerals. The objectives for this topic, that is, students should identify the types of minerals, classify the minerals into ferrous and non-ferrous, list or show what the physical or speak about physical and chemical features of these minerals, and then make some kind of assessment of the mineral resources, mainly in our country.
Very nice. Great topic. It's gonna be nice to see what's gonna come out as an e-learning from this kind of topic you like to kind of work with. Do you already have an idea a little bit about where you're gonna go, how you're gonna structure it, what you're gonna use?
Yes, we have discussed with Selman, and we have the scheme, the sketch in mind. It's really valuable to be used. The one that was presented during the last session on how to sketch some module, the WIPA module. And it's really interesting, and we are thinking of that sketch, and we are going to develop it, so like to fill in with content of the module.
Okay, perfect.
Selman is here. In fact, we have selected the persona who is like indifferent to technology. Okay, but he just joined and he has no idea what we were talking about. So Rudina is telling him that we are still talking about the topic and we are not in the journey yet. So there is some kind of geographical distribution between me and Rudina, so from south to north, because even the mineral resources are found, let's say, in both south and the north, and we can activate our students and make them more interesting to these mineral resources. Maybe it can be like visits, school trips or excursions to go and see these places, so they can see for themselves these minerals, to see their physical and chemical features. And the teacher, Rudina, who is a chemistry teacher, can explain things in detail.
Yeah, that sounds great. It's a really interesting theme that it can be really interesting to combine that, like what you do with the class, if you do like a trip and really have this haptic thing with the theme, and then decide which part you can do like a digital, what you can teach in a digital way then. So we're going to be really interested how this is going to be structured.
In fact,
while we were discussing in group, we are sending first some video to students, downloaded from the internet, on how diesel is made and extracted from the underground. So it was some very attractive video which caught my attention, and I have the link, and I'm going to send out the link to students and be like the very introductory part, let's say, of the module, like the welcome part.
Perfect. Yeah, great idea. Great idea. Okay. And there's always like a practical sense of it, that people have like a connection, you know, they know diesel and they can see where that kind of gets that from. And so this is, I think it's really important to have that you get them really practical things so that they can relate to it, what it means for them. So it's a great idea as a welcoming part.
Because we have noticed that we are so close to these mineral resources and the students have no idea about them because of this like failure to organize such kind of school trips and organize visits with and meetings with the employees working there. And also the diesel is like the blood of the society, and they are studying auto mechanics, and they should know about fuel and everything else and all the other byproducts.
Yeah, sure.
From here, the diesel, let's say, source is like 30-40 kilometers far away, so it's so close.
Okay.
And in Rudina's city, like ferrous minerals are in a very close area there, like copper. So we can have this kind of mutual visits in both schools.
Yeah.
Rudina is saying visits come last. We need to develop the content first. So.
Perfect. That sounds great. All right. Now we don't have still 10 minutes to go. Maybe it would help us to understand a little bit more about your students. If you can walk us through like which persona that you chose. I mean, you already said that a little bit indifferent about technology, and then walk us through about their day, typical day, what they do, and where they might have time to study or do some digital work.
Rudina mund flasuna po? Patjetër, vazhdo se kemi nga Vlora nxënësin.
Okay, so the student is from Vlora and the teacher is going to speak about the student because even the teacher is from Vlora. So this is an unmotivated pupil, and he has to travel from 6:30 to 6:45, 7:45, I believe it's like 6:45. Okay. Okay, 6:30 to 7:45 to reach school, okay? And then he has to walk again to go, so it's like a very long trip that he has. Of course, that when he is at school, he has to follow all the rules of the institution. And at 1:30 p.m., he goes to the station to get the bus and go home. We discussed from 6:45, 7:30, early in the morning. He's totally unmotivated. Maybe they can play on the phone during that time slot, but I don't think they are going to watch any of this digital content that might help him for the lesson. And that's why there is some note there from 5 p.m. We have put some arrow there. There are two hills there, if you see them. The student is in that place where some kind of mineral is being extracted. And to motivate the student, we have asked them, since he lives in the vicinity of that place, go and pick some piece of the mineral and bring it to school physically, let's say, the next day. Of course, he has time for himself, like the social part of thing, from 4 to 7 p.m. Again, at home, he is on social networks. Because the next day he knows he's bringing some physical thing, some piece of mineral, and that's it. So nothing digital for him. So to motivate this person a little bit, we made him go there and bring some kind of concrete learning material, let's say, because he can do that.
Is there on the way, because he has this long trip, you know, to go to school and then back home? Is there? Do they usually have a smartphone?
Sorry, Tino, because there is a lot of interference and I couldn't hear. Sure. Can I ask them to mute the microphones?
Could you mute? Yeah. Okay, on the trip.
Yes, Tino. Yes, please. Okay. Huh.
As I can see, it's a quite a long trip to go to school and then from school back home again. Do they? First question: do they have a smartphone? And if yes, do they have any chance to would they do anything on the trip? What do you think?
I think they have smartphones.
Mm-hmm. So if there anything that you can prepare them to do something or to learn something, and then go back home and do the physical thing to do, like bringing back home this kind of stone or mineral.
Since we are saying he's unmotivated, we need to encourage this person to use technology. We can tell them to watch videos on YouTube on these minerals, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So that when they go there into this area, even on YouTube, they can find information about that place they live close to. So our idea is that this unmotivated one to become a motivated student.
Yeah, perfect.
Finding ways.
But maybe there's always like a suggestion, like for people that are not motivated, maybe add some kind of, if you can, some kind of gamification things to it. Maybe you get them, you know, kind of, if they go and get the mineral or the stones, maybe if they already achieved a certain levels beforehand, what they had to do something with the smartphone, they kind of get to a certain level and they kind of compare a little bit with the other kids. It might could help if you give them kind of motivation through gamification, maybe. So.
Yes, they agree. This can be a good method.
And are they usually when they're not motivated? I see TV and sleeping. Do they use social networks? Oh yeah, I see at the end in the evening, like social media. Okay. Maybe use this as well as a catching thing. Maybe you can do a kind of use social media to get them maybe do certain things of tasks.
pikërisht këtë kemi parë, domethënë anët pozitive të tij, domethënë se si mund ta.
Yes, we have been looking at his strengths and trying to find how we can involve them with technology. There are some positive points which make us kind of optimistic to engage as a person.
Okay, perfect. Great. Are there any like for next Tuesday? We asked you to kind of to do the structure. You already talked about this. Are there any questions about that, about this task, or is it clear for you?
It's clear.
Okay.
And it's a structure which more or less we are familiar with, and it's quite suitable for us.
It's going to be nice to combine that with the actual thing that they need to do physically. This is going to be really interesting how you can kind of get those two things together. Perfect. So are there any other questions?
So Tuesday we are going to make a sketch. That's how I understood it. Or we are going to develop the content.
For Tuesday, we're going to do a sketch.
Maybe just if you have something in mind, like you mentioned videos or something, if you know, oh, I have material that would fit into the module, just on the sketch, just make a note or a video or something that you remember. Oh, there's some media I can actually use and incorporate it. But other than that, just the structure of the module.
Perfect. So if there are no more questions, we're looking forward to see you again on Tuesday.
Po ju përshëndes edhe unë që hyra në fund sa për të s'kisha mundësi të hyja përpara.
Hello from Sidita.
Hello, Sidita.
She just joined us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend.
Since you're talking about recording, what about the recordings of the seminars, guys?
Yes, I've got the files.
Okay, because we might need to put them somewhere so the participants also review them. I think they are in English only, so you're recording the English, huh?
Yes.
Because the Albanian needs to be recorded by someone who is co-host and from the Albanian Albanian channel.
If I make you co-host, can you record? If I'll make you co-host now?
Yes, if you are on the, because we did it in the.
Okay.
I can record if I'm a
So
co-host. We had yesterday a presentation in head office.
Perfect.
And in Swiss Contact, and we had a translation in Spanish, and they were both translated, both the translator room, let's say, and the English one.
Okay, perfect.
So we can try it for next webinar.
Yeah.
One of us, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just enters into the and you make a co-host.
Yeah.
And then we should think where we put the webinars so the participants can have access to them.
Access to it. Yeah,
for example, the Aviva, I think they need to go through not only the PowerPoint but also the recording, because it's quite complex. So either what we can do is we can open the online course in Moodle in Usovet we have now. But the recordings, we upload them in YouTube, and we send the link of the YouTube. But I will write an email afterwards with Landi and the group, so Orland and the group, so they set up the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's do that. Thanks, Sidita.
Welcome.
So hello. Ines, hello, Vaisava. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Okay, I'll already quickly share the screen with all the different themes. And now we're on engineering. So first thing I would like to ask if you can explain, before we go through the journey, explain us a little bit about the topic you chose. And additionally to that, please let us know about the learning objectives as well.
Atëra, po e marr fjalën unë.
Okay, so Vaisava is taking the floor. Hello, everybody. The topic is diagnosing some irregularities of oxidation sensors in transport vehicle engines. This topic is like distributed throughout 3 classes, let's say, and the learning objectives refer to the competencies, the digital competencies, and through these learning outcomes, we specify knowledge, skills, and attitudes in terms of the topic. More concretely, the student describes what the irregularities are. They argue that they judge in a way, so they discuss the causes and the consequences related to the irregularities, and they come up with the solutions for the repair or replacement of the sensors, analyze the test results for repair or replacement. Another objective is they assess how they're going to fix these irregularities or problems. And the 6th objective is like they simulate some kind of defect in some elements of computer circles, let's say, for these kind of engines. The 7th objective then is like they adapt their knowledge, the theoretical knowledge, to the practical ones in this kind of activity. And the final one, objective number 8, is the objective which is related to the students' attitude during the lesson, the theoretical part of the lesson, because it's a theoretical topic. And the 8th objective, the student actively participates and cooperates through the discussions that are delivered throughout the lesson. So 8 objectives which involve all the personas represented by this class, okay, where the lesson is taking place.
Did you plan those learning objectives like for the whole class, like digital and in class, or do you think to do that just by doing e-learning, or how do we need to understand this?
Yes, you are right. These objectives in every lesson are planned as grouped by level of the students. So minimum level, medium level, and maximum level, let's say high level of students. And we try to include all the types of objectives which in a way check the competencies of the students. And I believe that when it comes to developing the digital content, these objectives are included there. So the digital part is included in all these objectives because they are quality objectives which target, let's say, the quality of teaching and learning.
Okay. When you were talking about different levels, did you mean the levels of achievements they can get out of it, or is it more the level of knowledge they have on this topic?
It's acceptable that in every social group, let's say, or class, the quality of students, let's say, it's a matter of performance, students' performance. Like we spoke about different persona, we are speaking about their level of knowledge, generally speaking. Since when we spoke about persona, we said that there are persona who are very good at theoretical part, there are some others who are good at the practical part but not at theoretical part, and there are also students who can have both. There are also students who are not like very happy or poor students, let's say, in a way. And that's why, while classifying these objectives in our daily plan, let's say lesson plan, we divide them into 3 groups of levels which change in different classes.
Okay. Maybe when you talk then about a digital module after, maybe if you as a beginning start with a certain level, and then because you can't mix too many levels within one digital experience or digital learning experience, probably focus on one level first and then go on from there. And maybe some students can already skip kind of the first one and already go to the second because they already have this previous knowledge about it. So that would be a suggestion in this kind of. Otherwise, you have too many things you have to deal with in a digital way. That's going to be really difficult.
It's true. What level would you suggest us to cover through the digital content? The maximum one, the highest level, or can you give us a suggestion or recommend?
Yeah, I mean, it depends a little bit how many are like you want to take on with you. Like, where do you want to start? But I'd rather go a little bit lower, and then the maximum that they can reach somehow the maximum. So better start with a lower level and rather have like a second one that is for higher level, and maybe the good students don't have to do then the first one. So not that you lose a big part of your students already at the first part because the level was too high. But it's always good to have it challenging. That's another thing.
Okay.
Perfect. Now maybe if you can walk us through a little bit the journey you chose, and so we can see a little bit what are the learning places, what are the places where the student can learn. That'd be great.
Besoj vetëm unë jam mira nga grupi, nuk po kuptoj. Okej, s'ka gjë, kënaqësi është përsëri. Atëherë,
she's the only representative from the group, let's say. So the journey of this student here. So first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about this persona. This is a kind of good student, punctual. He comes to school, attends, and after school he goes to some car garage where he does the apprenticeship, let's say the practical training, and he works there as well. And according to this scheme, this guy gets up, like, because it's the bed at the very beginning, so gets up, like cleans and washes and everything else in the morning, goes to the bus station, takes a minibus for travelers, because he comes from some area where there is this kind of transport. Minibuses are providing transport there. And at 7:45, he is at school, where he has to attend 6 classes until 1:10. Afterwards, there is some fast food place, let's say there, where he goes and buys something for dinner. And then he has to go to this car garage at 2 o'clock, where he's working part-time until 6 p.m. Afterwards, he takes the minibus again, let's say, and goes home. Of course, he's really tired. And the last thing that he can do now is like to open the books. If he has the bag with him and the school bag or the books with him. So this is an excuse, but it's a reality. It's like an excuse, and we say that in their school bag they have the books, textbooks for the whole week, not changing any textbooks, not changing any notebooks. They all have them there.
Yeah.
And it's ready for, packed for the morning, next morning.
Okay.
But no time for books, for textbooks.
One thing that we're interested in now, when he's working next to it, like part-time, is that somehow when you've got your specific topic that you want to teach, is there somehow like, do you work kind of together with this employee of this part-time job? Is there some topics that are related that you can have, like this is part of the curricula in school, and do they experience that at their job as well, like this specific topic now you're talking about?
Yes, there are parts of the curricula that can be implemented in the practical part, but not all the modules. Of course, in the practical training module is like matching the modules that are delivered in the curricula, but while he's working part-time, because he gets paid for that with some business, not necessarily he is kind of implementing things that he has studied at school. And he has to also learn bigger things, let's say, and also to do maybe even more ordinary things. Right now, he is just a worker. He is not a technical person, let's say, or technician, because he hasn't completed his high school, let's say, education.
What do you think about, if there are any touch points he's doing at work, like that he experienced, that are related to the topic now you want to teach, about this oxygen irregularities, about the sensors? Do you think he gets some touch points about this specific topic at work, that you can kind of maybe think about learning something about this topic during work, or not?
Of course, it gets information, and this kind of information, let's say, during the work at the business, he brings it in during the lesson, let's say, like an experience, overlapping it to the theoretical part, kind of complementing the theoretical part. In this case, all these issues with car garage where he's working, and he's not the only one working there. There are plenty of students who do this part-time work, and I use their kind of experience during the lessons like case studies, and having specific lessons, let's say, or group work, so as they can give their own input on finding solutions to these problems. Or it's like a homework assignment for them to be discussed during the next class, let's say. So they're very important parts of the process.
Okay. maybe when you now think about like the e-learning you're gonna structure, maybe think about ways that might be possible as well that they do something during work, like take a video or anything that kind of relates to the topic and try to kind of combine those things together. If just as a suggestion, I don't know how much possible that is, but maybe just as a way of thinking that those things, the practical parts, come getting closer with the theoretical part.
Besoj të paktën deri më sot edhe kështu kanë funksionuar.
At least until now, that's how it has worked. In fact, the student, the person who makes the links between the theoretical and practical part, even the existing videos, because I use videos a lot, and I mentioned them before during the last session, I also use YouTube videos, or on Facebook, there is some kind of Facebook page for students to share digital content outside lesson time, let's say. And the students okay, so all these kind of videos and everything else are shared with the business as well, with the people they work with. So, and there is a wider circle of debate on this Facebook page, which I administer, and I've been administering it for 12 years, and it's quite successful. It's like online learning, but after the lesson. And part of the comments and discussions in this group on Facebook, so there are business specialists also participating and making comments and giving feedback. So they ask us for help to find a solution to different issues, but also there are ordinary people joining us, so speaking about solutions to these issues. And I believe that the digital content would help both the business and the students during the time that they are working or doing the practical training part with the business.
That sounds great. Well done, you're doing really well. Perfect.
I'm really passionate about that. That's what
nice.
he's saying. I do it with passion.
We can feel that and hear that, and with all the solutions you come up, we can see that. Very good. Great. So sorry, we already came to an end of the coaching sessions, but just as a final question, is everything clear for the task for next Tuesday to kind of structure like a digital like a e-learning module?
Sipas modelit,
Yes, it's really clear.
Okay.
For this topic that we just presented.
Exactly for this topic.
It's really very clear. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Okay, great. So if there are no more questions, thank you very much.
No.
And we'll see you on Tuesday again.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
All right, and admit them all.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Good, Jenny.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Mira, po si të kemi me Mira.
Goca
që bëhet?
Mirë, si e kaluat jo?
Mirë. Ha, mirë, u shlodhët e që kjo, apo u lodhët më shumë?
Sa po erdha nga puna, edhe ula direkte. Edhe po më thoshim shojsh, po ka që egzageruar që nga puna, sa duhet të ulesh direkte?
She's saying that she has just come back from work. And her husband was like immediately from work to again working.
Se një vlla thotë kjo botë ka shumë mistere dhe puna që bën motra ime është një nga këto mistere. Dim se si t'ja shpjegojmë njerëzve që nuk bëjnë fiks punën tënde.
Okay, so let's start. Hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining. Like always, please switch to the Spanish channel. So you hear Mira translate. Okay, recording is on. Let's start. I'll quickly share the screen. Here we go. Electrotechnics. First of all, I would like if you can, someone of you explain the topic a little bit to me, or maybe which specific part of the topic you chose you want to kind of put into this e-learning module, and then specify it a little bit further which kind of learning objectives you have in mind that should be reached through this module. All right, the floor is yours. Who wants to go?
Inita Sconti.
Besa, do flasësh ti?
Ta shpjegojmë temën, Jonita?
Okay.
They can decide.
Yeah, no problem.
The topic is LED diodes. There are a lot of electronics, of course, topics, but we came up with this kind of topic because it has some very practical usage, and it would be interesting, like, for this digital content to come up with some content that is understandable for everybody. Let me share the screen for the objectives.
Okay, I'll quickly stop. All right, okay.
Let me a second.
They are in Albanian, so there are 3 learning objectives, let's say, since the topic is going to be delivered in only very few minutes, let's say. The first one, to be able to, so this is like a very low level of objective, let's say, to draw accurately the symbol of the element. The second one is like medium level, to describe the working principle of this element. And the third one, which is more complicated and requires to have a higher level of preparation, let's say, it's to describe the practical implementation of the circuits with the optical links.
And just a quick question on that. Do you think you can get within this e-learning to go to get this learning curve within one module, or does it have to be like 3 different ones?
Po besoj se po, sepse mendoj se po, sepse pak a shumë të tillë organizim të kompetencave.
I believe yes, because this is kind of the way we organize competencies in every learning content, and I believe we can achieve that.
Okay, good. All right, just you can go on. Thanks.
This can be achieved. It's because all the students have met this kind of element, this LED diodes in everyday life, and they might be more interested to understand what they see, what is in front of their eyes.
Yes, I think it's a great topic because everyone can experience that exactly in everyday life, and would be curious to find out more about this. So I think it's a really good choice. Perfect.
Okay, faleminderit.
is that kind of part of those learning objectives? Are they kind of part of the curricula you got, or is that kind of extra or beside it, or?
Në fakt, këto tre objektiva janë të përpiluara nga vetë ne, nuk kanë qenë.
These three objectives have been developed by us, not part of the curriculum, because this topic is not part of the subjects. There were different types of ideas, but not this kind. That's why we came up with these objectives by ourselves.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So these are for at a lower level, not in the subjects that Besa is teaching.
Yep.
But in one of the subjects I'm teaching. But in the curricula, there are general objectives, and these are more specified and have been kind of, so we have that kind of space to decide what level of achievement we need to gain, the students to get.
Okay.
If I can say something. Objectives are general ones, and they are determined in the frame curriculum by subject, but more specifically, the teachers can come up with their own objectives depending on the topics that they're going to teach. So these might be three objectives which can be of a previous year, but they are objectives that are drafted and developed by the teachers themselves.
Okay. Good to know. Thanks. Perfect. I think it's great that you get it really specific for this module. Perfect. Okay, I'll quickly do the sharing again. If you can just quickly stop sharing. Let's go back here. Now, for the learning journey, or for the journey itself, like when we look a little bit about the learning places, first of all, which persona did you choose? I saw you got like, I think 2 personas, Nadia and Klaiti and Alban, or 3 personas. Did you think about one of those like specific personas when doing the journey? This is the first question, and then if you can kind of walk me through or walk us through the journey you had in mind for this persona or for this person.
Kemi marrë Klajdin, se Nadia ishte në një zonë për...
Klaidi is the one, because Nadia lived in the suburbs and, okay, and so she had to take the bus. And this is from a neighborhood which is not in the vicinity of the school, but can be kind of walking, alternated by bus, but it takes 45 minutes for this person to get to school. Sets off from home at 7, 7:45 is like at school. There is 15 minutes until the lesson starts. At 10:15 it's this long break, we call it. And at 10:30 the lesson starts again until 1:30 p.m. Afterwards, she goes home, he goes home, and there is some kind of space, like to get changed, a few minutes, let's say, for himself, like to have lunch. We don't know exactly what happens, but we have supposed that Clyde is somebody who does some sport. He plays football, since in our school the majority of the students are boys, and they, of course, boys love football mainly. And we think that he goes to some kind of football course, and it's like some training, it's like from 4 to 6. After that, he takes a rest or a break, let's say, from these activities, and studying is 7:30 to 10. And we took the images from the internet because we couldn't draw. None of us was able to draw properly. So we picked the images from the internet, and there were some small details we were thinking of, but we couldn't find, no, it was needed for us to get like a huge number of images. That's why I simplified it a little bit. But this is like a supposed way of a regular day for one of our students.
Okay, perfect. Thanks very much. I think for us it's really important we get more a feeling of this person, what he goes through in this case, about the sport and about late work, late kind of homework he'll do. So those are pretty late hours. One question that's important. Those students, they're not working next to it somehow, like vocational training. Is that only school?
Yes, it's only school for
only
him.
School. Okay.
For this person, yeah.
Good to know. Okay, and now I can see that you put a quote, like learning by doing. Now when you see this journey where he goes, where do you think? I mean, you have this obvious time at 7:30 until 10 that he could learn, but maybe are there any other kind of learning places you can get him content, and maybe this learning by doing in this kind of sense, give him something to do on his way that's related to the topic?
There might be some way, like through audio, listening to content, let's say, while he's going to school. It's like some time, like 15 minutes before the lesson starts, maybe he has a time. It's when he might be waiting, like for the training course to start for the football, let's say, or while he's in the changing room or waiting for the group to join, let's say. So these are the slots. If this boy takes the bus, let's say, but also goes back home on the bus, maybe during this travel he can watch something, some content, or listen to some kind of recording of some content, or maybe on the smartphone or tablet can go into some link which has been assigned by the teacher. So he can use this traveling time, let's say, while on the bus, in this case, early in the morning, but mainly back from school, like going home, while going home.
And maybe just as a suggestion, maybe you can combine it really. I mean, LED like diodes is really something you can do something with it. Maybe there's somehow something he can kind of on his way do something with the LED, and then have kind of the digital part, the e-learning itself, and maybe the task about constructing something or whatever you can do with the topic with LED diodes. So as a way of keeping it really engaging for the students, as not kind of combining theory and practical things, to have really like authentic, kind of an authentic experience for them. So if you can try to think a little bit ways in those directions, that would be really interesting.
Something that I can think of right now is some assignment that can be given by the teacher. So since the student is walking, like to find out how many chemists or how many of these advertisements use this LED diodes, and kind of to observe on the way, these small details on the way, to find out where they can see this kind of diet and to memorize it visually.
Great idea. Great idea. Exactly something. We always encourage to think about, yeah, the practical aspects. Like, where do they encounter this kind of thing in their daily life? So, and then kind of match it so they can feel more a relation to it. So they get really interested into how does that work and how could I make that going, because I see it everywhere. So this would be a really good way to get them going, and it feels real then, or more real. So it's a really good idea. Is for the task for next Tuesday to kind of sketch this the structure following the Aviva or the WIPA didactical model. Are there any questions for it, or is everything clear?
Do të bëjmë vetëm strukturën se si do ta përgatisim materialin.
We should go only with the structure, with the scheme on how, but not developing the content.
Yeah, exactly. But if you already have ideas like you had now, this kind of idea about observing, and you can always already kind of write it in there so that you kind of, it reminds yourself of what your ideas were. So you can combine already a little bit of content just to have like a sketch of ideas. But otherwise, don't go deeper into too deep content, so you get too much in detail. It's more overview.
Të mfal, kisha edhe unë një pyetje. Duhet përgatitur para?
One question. Are we going to preparing it before Tuesday, or we are going to present it on Tuesday?
You're going to present it on Tuesday. I mean, it would be great if you can upload it on the Padlet. I think that this is in the
task. Do ishte mirë nëse do ta ngarkoni. Oh, sorry.
But we'll talk about it then on the webinar itself. Perfect. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, there's always this Padlet.
Yeah, it's short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, if there are no more questions, I'd like to thank you very much for joining here, and looking forward to see you on Tuesday. It's a really interesting theme, so looking forward to go on with that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay, we're done. Sidita is always there. Sidita, you are there.